MTN SME Hub. Link to growth, link to success, link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show. And in studio with us today, we've got Nellie Lester. She is the Managing Director of WS & Company. And we're talking about personal mastery. We're talking about setting our personal vision. And now we're going to talk about goal setting for ourselves, the things that we want. Mm-hmm. And what I was very fascinated about was that the personal side and the business side have got the same kinds of things going on. In business, we use SWAT analyses, and in business we use SMART goal setting, for the business. But we do that as well for our own personal goal setting. Mm-hmm. So let's just start with how we would use SWAT from a personal perspective.
Okay. So I think in the personal setting, you'll have to look about the strengths, the things that you're really, really good at. Mm-hmm. And then you also have to look at the things which you're not really good at, things which you'd rather not, be bothered about or be able to do. But you also ought to be aware of the threats, things that could cause harm or derail you in a way. And then you also have to look at the opportunities, that might come your way. And in a personal setting, forget the organizational side. In a personal setting is when I think about the strengths, the things that you're good at, it's really the skills that you have, the things that you are able to offer as of service to the others. Mm-hmm. And to be able to master those and to be able to do them well, I think would help you as an individual for a start. I was once reminded that, if you have children, the best thing that you can teach them is to help them have some skills, because in the end, it not only builds their own personal confidence, but it also helps them to be able to offer something in exchange. So whether it's riding a bicycle or being able to swim or being able to sew, or being able to bake, that's a skill that somebody has that they could then offer to the other as part of building other areas of their lives as well. And we all feel much more confident if there's something that we know how to do and we do it well. And in the same way, if you know areas where you're weak at, it's not to force yourself to suddenly become a super duper person in that area, but you are aware, you're self-aware that I'm not good at that. So if Allon comes along and Allon is better in that area, I'd rather defer to Allon and say, Allon, do this for me, I'll do X for you because I'm so good in this other area, for example.
Okay, let's move on to the SMART goals. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so in terms of a personal area, again, if you are to define for you, what would be SMART goals in your own context, I think you'll have to be quite, they'll have to be straightforward, so be quite simple, in a sense, clarity about what it is that you want to do. So instead of wanting to do 1,001 things, rather simplify it. You have to find ways of measuring it. So I need to know what was my goal for this year and how far will I be able to go, let's say by half year, or at the end of the year, I'd like to see this and this done. So you're able to measure it. I've been able to accumulate so many hours, of repairing this guitar or working on this machine. And then it has to be actionable. It has to be something that you can do. You have steps to be able to do it. What do I need to be able to bake a cake? Or what do I need to be able to repair the machine? I need to go and buy XY equipment to be able to get me there. They also have to be time bound in a way, so I've got only so many hours in a day. How many hours am I allocating to do this task? Will it take me a week? Will it take me 2 months to make 200 of them? Or 500 of them? How much would it take me? So there has to be some time, that you allocate to those as well. So that's kind of the framework that one would use when you think about SMART,
So that's an acronym. So I said it was a specific.
You have to be simple. It has to be measurable. It has to be actionable. Yeah. It has to be realistic.
Yeah, realistic.
And then it has to have a timeline.
Time bound. Okay. So let's now talk about growth mindset. To have a growth mindset, and as entrepreneurs, we have growth mindsets. We think, but let's define what growth mindset is, and then perhaps by listening to this, we will find out that we don't have what it is, and then maybe give some pointers on how to acquire or achieve a goal mindset. What do we need to do to actually build a growth mindset?
Okay. So a growth mindset, the opposite of a growth mindset is a fixed mindset. So maybe let's start with the fixed. The fixed is, I am doing this. I'm the only one who does this. I'm the only one who knows how to do this, period. Whereas a growth mindset says, I know how to do this. I'm curious about how other people do it. I'm curious about how to make this better. I'm curious about what else I can do with what I have. So in a way, it's being quite open, quite flexible, not in losing yourself, but being open to possibilities, being open to listening, being open to understanding, and being open to viewing issues from different perspectives, and not only stuck in your way of looking at things.
How will, maybe I think I've got a growth mindset, but I don't. So how would I privately work out whether I'm in a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Like, how can I test myself for that?
Okay, how can you test yourself? Think about people climbing a mountain, right? And these are two mountaineers, and they're going up, and they're looking up the steep, and they can't quite make up their way as to which steps there would be, which crevices are there for them to be able to get to the top. And somebody with the growth mindset would be saying, which other way can we go to help get us to the top? Somebody with a fixed mindset will say, this is the path we set up for ourselves, and I just have to stay on this path. If we can't summit today, we are not going. The growth mindset person could look from a different angle in the mountain climbing and perhaps see another route that could work. So they're open to possibility, open to look at the problem from a different angle to help achieve a goal that you set up for yourself. So you would ask yourself as an individual, if you're faced with an obstacle or a challenge and you've been looking at it in one direction, maybe taking a different look and say, how would my son look at this problem? Or how would my wife see this problem? That implies that you are open and willing to explore from different angles, looking at the same problem.
So, Nellie, we've come to the end of the show. So to me, what I've picked up, just to summarize what I've picked up here, is that, first of all, self-awareness is incredibly important. To be self-aware, self-reflective. And that might be done through just giving yourself quiet time to self-reflect. I love in terms of the personal vision, I love the framework of the 7 areas. I think that's a very powerful way to give yourself all these places to identify. Because when we talk about even self-awareness, we say, well, you don't know where to start. But I love the 360 view and all the areas that we spoke about, from social to spiritual to financial to health, etc. So I think that's very powerful. And then finally, to be able to set ourselves SMART goals and doing a SWAT analysis on oneself. And I think the most powerful thing is that, especially as entrepreneurs, is we often get stuck. Okay. And it's about that growth mindset. How else could I do that flexibility, and how else could we achieve what we want to achieve? Yeah. So that's what I got from today's show. I hope you got as much as I did. Thanks, Nellie, for coming onto the Big Small Business Show. And as I always say, if you think it, write it down and make it a reality.
The Big Small Business Show, proudly sponsored by MTN Business.